Welcome to our economics class. I'm happy to be with you here. As always, I will show up. Most persons are in this channel, they are not subscribed. Please subscribe so that the channel can grow. Invite more persons so we can become one big family or one big community. Give us a thumbs up if you like what we are doing here. If you are returning subscribers, thank you, love you so much. If you want to support the channel, go to the comment box. I'll tell you how you can support us. If you have suggestion, please suggest below the comment box. This is a mobile class, an online class where we teach the Nigerian curriculum. We want learning to be part of you. So we want you to learn everywhere. Learn at home, learn as you go, watch, rewatch. That way learning can become part and parcel of you. Welcome again to the class. Economics is the class, and we are still under our business finance. The other day we discussed how we can raise funds for businesses, and we mentioned a number of them, about 10 of them. Today I am singling out 3 of those areas, those points we discussed in our previous class on how we can raise capital. And I'm going to talk about shares, bond, and debenture. We're going to differentiate between these 3. But before we do the differentiation, we need to know what they are. That way we can pick out the difference that appears in all of them. What is share? What is bond? And what is debenture? A bond is a financial security issued by a company or by the government as a means of borrowing. And this borrowing can be long-term or short-term. And in bond, you back up your borrowing with a collateral that will stand as a surety for you. So bonds are security that are issued by company, an institution, or by the government. And it offers short or long-term loans. It is backed up by collateral. That's for bonds. I'll come to the differentiation. I just want you to understand what these terms are. That way you will understand better when you differentiate. Then the second one is debenture. A debenture, it's a debt instrument used to raise long-term loan for your business. And a debenture has no collateral. It is done by goodwill, the name you have made, and the trust you have been entrusted with. It is carried out by individuals, few times governments. That is for debenture. Then what about shares? Shares represent owners' rights in a company, an individual's rights in a company or a business. A share represents as one unit. Every share is represented by a unit. So when shares are published and it said a unit is sold for 50 kobo per share, 1,000 naira per share, 100 naira per share, we're talking about the unit of it. So you can buy as many units as you want to, and as many units as the company have offered to sell to the public. We have different kinds of shares. We have preference shares, we have equity shares, and many others. And so now let's look at the differences. We have seen what shares is, we've seen what debenture is, and we've seen what bond is. For the first one, a bond is backed up by an asset. A debenture is not backed up by an asset. A share, it's a unit that you buy to be part of a business. You get my explanation? Then the second one is bonds are issued by governments. Bonds are issued by companies, financial institutions. Debentures are issued by most times individuals or company who sees your trustworthiness. or few times government if they feel your organization or your company is trustworthy. Shares, it is your money that talks because you buy the units, you become part of the business. So that is for shares. Now we look at another area of interest. Debenture takes more longer periods to pay, and bonds take either long term or short term. Now we look at collateral requirements for bonds. You need a collateral to collect loans. In debenture, you don't need. You can just collect your loan. Debenture is based on trust. If you are explaining debenture, tell the person that it is a kind of loan that is given by either the government or a private individual based on trustworthiness, because no collateral is involved. Now let's look at them in their tenure. Bonds can be looked at as a long-term investment, but debentures are much short-term because you don't want to leave your money where there is no collateral. But bonds, there is collateral, it can be long-term. Issuing body. Bonds are generally issued by financial institution, government agency, and large corporation. But debentures are mostly issued by private individuals who knows your trustworthiness. That's why I say few times government, but in rare cases, it is mostly private individuals. Level of risk. If I'm differentiating them based on categories, I've talked about it based on collateral. I've talked about it based on terms, that's year period, a year duration. I've talked about it in issuing body. Now I want to talk about level of risk. Bonds are less risky. Debentures are more riskier. Because bonds, you have collateral. In debenture, no collateral for you. Okay? Then we have another type, payment structure. The payment of interest on bond is on accrued profits. On bonds is on accrued profits. But that of debenture, the interest is paid periodically according to what the company can afford to pay periodically. But bonds, you do it more often. You can pay it monthly, weekly, yearly. But in debenture, they can decide to do it yearly. Now we talk about convertible into shares. Bonds cannot be converted into equity shares, but debenture can sometimes be convertible into equity shares. Don't worry about equity shares, preference shares, and the rest of them. I will get to that in your economics class, or maybe later in your commerce class. I'm going to discuss shares. We'll take it one after the other. You're going to know each of these. So follow along. It's step by step. Just know that those are the types of shares we have. I will mention some of these types of shares. We have ordinary shares, different ordinary shares, non-voting ordinary shares, preference shares, cumulative shares, redeemable shares. We will explain those ones in your subsequent classes. Then priority in case of liquidation. In the event of liquidation of an organization, bondholders are given priority. And when the business liquidates, bondholders have collateral to pay off their debt. Debentures, nothing. It is a sole trustworthiness. So if the trust did not work, the ownership, those who have given you loan, have lost. These are the few differences I have put up for you. So you can go check out more differences in there. I have differentiated them based on level of risk, based on collateral requirements, based on tenure or terms of payments, based on issuing body, based on level of risk, And I've equally talked about liquidation. I've differentiated it in case of shareholding. So I've discussed like 8 or 7 differences of these ones. So know that when you hear of a shareholder, know the person owns a unit or units of shares in a company that makes him or her qualified to become part of the company, or he becomes a co-owner with other shareholders. So this is our class for economics. Today we've been able to differentiate between bond, shares and debenture. Watch the class again. Look at it again. Remember that bonds are long-term or short-term loans that are backed up by collateral. Debentures are not backed up by collateral. It is based on trustworthiness. Shares are units that makes you part of a business ownership. And then remember that bonds, government and private individual can give it. Debenture, most times private individual gives it, not the government. Few times the government can come in, but in rare cases. And then we said that share is a unit you buy to contribute as capital. We equally let you know that bonds can be paid monthly, weekly, yearly, depending. Debenture, the owners decide when they want to pay. And units, you pay a subscription rate when the shares are offered to the public, and many others. So thank you for being part of this class. I'll come your way next class when we discuss other issues in our economics class. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you for being part of this community. Comment below the comment box and ask your question. Suggest below the comment box to suggest what you want us to improve on.